You're listening to Strange by Nature, your guide to the strange, weird, unbelievable, and improbable wonders of the natural world.
Hello, everyone, and thanks for being here today. I'm Kirk Mona, and joining me are Rachel Gimza and Victoria Thompson. We're all naturalists who together have scoured the world for weird and wonderful wonders, just to please your mammalian brain's desire for novelty. Isn't that nice? Let's do this.
Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the show. Rachel, Kirk, good to see you guys.
Good to be here.
So good to see you.
I start us off this week. I don't know. My topic this week, it's a little bit quirky.
Okay.
You could
We
say.
love quirky.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to start off by talking about something we've kind of touched on the show, which is, many biologists, you gotta pursue a line of research if you're getting your PhD, and that
Right.
could take you into some pretty small niches.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That few people know anything about, and that may seem unimportant in a lot of ways.
Right.
Scientists publish papers that are breaking new scientific ground, but they often receive little notice or interest outside of the few colleagues in their subspecialty.
Right. You become an expert in a particular, very small topic, and that is your expertise, and then others who are kind of related
Yeah.
also will look to you, I guess.
Yeah,
That's kind of how
exactly.
that works.
Like, take, for example, barnacles.
Weird.
Barnacles are crustaceans. They have a free-swimming larval life stage that resembles like a little shrimp or copepod, if you're familiar with what that is. I know you guys are.
Yeah.
Or you can
What?
think of it as it's like a tiny one-eyed shrimp kind of thing. And eventually the larva attaches to a solid surface like a rock or a pier or the skin of a whale or a floating piece of driftwood. And it excretes a hard shell made of calcium carbonate that literally cements itself to the substrate that it's sitting on.
Right.
And it never moves again. Now, barnacles do have some economic importance to humans, since barnacle growth can be a problem on the hulls of ships. They create
Right.
drag, sometimes like significant drag. Some larger
Which is kind of amazing.
Yes. And there are some larger types of barnacles that are also eaten by humans. But you could say that scientists studying like barnacle growth and development could expect to labor in relative obscurity. You wouldn't expect. Right. Or
I
you wouldn't
just want
expect.
to ask them, like, how did they get it? Okay, how did you get to barnacles?
They were
Right.
available.
They were available.
Might be part of it.
My
don't
PhD
move a whole
advisor was
lot.
studying barnacles.
I love this.
And you wouldn't expect to see articles about barnacles like in the popular press necessarily.
Mhm.
Your Atlantic monthlies, your
People.
New York magazines,
People.
Yeah, definitely
People
not
magazine. So that is until the events of March 8th, 2014 and their aftermath.
Okay.
I was in college.
Oh dear.
Mm.
I was
Yeah.
not in college.
Correct.
We're not going to think about it too much. It's fine.
Nope. Moving right along.
Well, sad to say that was the day of the disappearance of Malaysia Airlines Flight 370.
Oh.
Guys remember that one, right?
That's a bummer.
Yes.
One of the great outstanding mysteries of aviation.
Yeah. Where did it go?
Where did it go?
Spoiler
The
alert.
flight-
The ocean.
The ocean,
Oh,
almost certainly. The
probably.
flight took off from Kuala Lumpur, and it had a planned 5.5-hour flight north and east to Beijing. About 40 minutes into the flight, the transponder switched off, which made it disappear from
Doesn't that have to be
civilian
done on
radar.
purpose too?
Yeah, it has to be done on purpose. However, military radar showed that a short time later, the plane made a sharp turn to the west, recrossing the Malay Peninsula and heading into the Andaman Sea, which is where its last contact with military radar was recorded, somewhere between the coast of Thailand and the northern tip of Sumatra. And there's some other satellite data that kind of maybe suggests the plane then turned south. But the plane was never seen again, and where it went down is a matter of not only speculation, but intense speculation.
Right.
Yeah.
There were 227 passengers and 12 crew members aboard the plane, all presumed dead at this point.
Yeah.
So presumably it crashed somewhere into the Indian Ocean, which is a large body of water.
This is not small.
Not small, yep.
Theories abound, naturally, as to the cause of the disappearance. I think the general consensus is that most likely it was pilot suicide / mass murder,
Right.
given the apparent deliberateness of some of the things that happened, like the transponder switching off. But, who knows?
Yeah.
And there's like various bits of contradictory evidence, and you can really go down a lot of conspiracy rabbit holes if you're so inclined.
Yeah.
There have been numerous searches for the wreckage at this point, many of which were along an arc that was sort of calculated based on where the plane would have run out of fuel.
Mm-hmm.
But they've all amounted to nothing. And I personally, I don't really have a horse in this race. I don't have a clue as to what happened. But one area of the search that I found fascinating has to do with barnacles.
There it is.
Yeah. So, although the main body of the wreck has not been found, a few pieces of debris that were determined to come from the plane did wash up on beaches in the Western Indian Ocean in 2015, 2016. So like a year or two after the crash. One of them was a flaperon, which is like the part of the wing that goes up and down to adjust the
What a
angle
great,
of the airplane.
what a descriptive name for that piece of the plane. The flaperon.
Good one.
Yes.
Ah.
And that washed up on the island of Réunion, which is, relatively speaking, pretty close to Mauritius, which we've talked about on the show before. But these pieces of wreckage had been in the ocean for a while, and naturally they had some barnacles on them.
Yeah. All right.
It turns out that as barnacles grow, they deposit a new layer of the shell each day, similar to a tree ring in some ways.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
And if you analyze the oxygen isotope ratios in these calcium carbonate layers of the shell, you can determine, apparently, the ocean temperature at which each layer was deposited.
Okay, so you could potentially track where in the ocean
Yes.
it was.
So there's been various studies into this. Most recently, it seems, a team at the University of South Florida did a laboratory study with the exact species of barnacle that was found on the flaperon in different temperatures of tanks, and they validated the isotope
That's
ratio
very cool.
stuff.
Okay, that's fun.
And they were able to combine that data on growth at different temperature rates, growth rates at different temperatures, with current ocean temperature records and models to create, and current models to create a partial reconstruction of where the debris might have drifted from.
That's so cool.
Nice
It is
job.
really cool.
That's cool.
Unfortunately, only some of the smaller barnacles from the debris have been made available to researchers. The largest and therefore oldest ones have not been analyzed. And so, it's not like all the barnacles that are on there attached right after the plane crashed.
Right.
They came on at various times. Yes.
Right.
But it is possible that the largest ones might have attached not too long after the crash, and so could provide more information about the drift
Where?
path. Now, I'm going to say it seems, from what I can gather, it seems pretty unlikely that we would be able to actually pinpoint the crash site with this sort of information. There are too many variables and vagaries, but it certainly could potentially provide more information to narrow down the search area.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, it seems like it's sort of just following, if we know where the currents are, isn't this just kind of validating where the ocean currents are? Like, we already know that. It seems like we could kind of backtrack where this stuff came from based on the currents without the barnacles.
Yeah, but this would at least give you a little bit better idea of which currents maybe that it attached to.
Sure.
And also the barnacles can only start growing or attach, I think, in certain cooler temperatures. And then they stop growing at certain warmer temperatures. So
interesting.
I guess for them to have attached, they had to be like in a certain latitude.
Okay. All right.
Already.
Narrows it down then.
Yeah. Well, a new search just actually got underway within the last week or two, for the first time in a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
And it's being done by this underwater robotics company. They've done a search before. They have this deal they made with the Malaysian government, that they'll get a fee, but only if they find the wreckage. I have no clue if any of this existing barnacle research has been taken into consideration by this company for where they're focusing their search this time, but it's just so fascinating to think about.
That's very, very cool. Thanks for sharing all this. That's a pretty fascinating take, and hopefully something comes of it.
Yeah, and like potentially like bring peace to all of those families and
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. That's what I got this week. I first got this idea from an article in New York Magazine, which I read a year or two ago. And then that's when I put this on my list. And then now it's behind a paywall, so I couldn't revisit it. But I also got information from phys.org, which had a good article about the barnacles. There's a lot of potentially dubious information about the flight stuff out there. So I had to be a little careful with the sources I was looking at. I did get some helpful information, which I was taking with a grain of salt, from 370location.org, which seems to be a site that was focused on some acoustic evidence or possible evidence about where the plane might be. But I also got some background information from Wikipedia, just as the overall timeline of the crash and that kind of stuff. Yeah. Cool. We are going to take a short break, and when we come back, it'll be Kirk.
All right, I want to start off my story this week with a butterfly. How's that sound?
Butterfly.
Love butterflies.
Yeah. The butterfly in question is called the mountain elcon blue, or in Science Nerd, Phengaris rebelli. I guess they're a little bit of a rebellious butterfly.
Okay.
So we'll certainly have photos in our newsletter. So those of you who get our free newsletter are perhaps looking at these cute little flutterbys right now. If not, well, go sign up at our website, but I will describe it for you. They're pretty small. Their wingspan is just 32 to 36 millimeters, so less than 1.5 inches. The males are pretty, like a pretty purple blue with a black edge with a little white fringe. It's kind of nice. The females have much better camouflage. They're essentially brown with little black spots.
Sounds lovely.
You're telling me a butterfly that's called, what was it, a mountainous blue is a blue butterfly?
I know, this is really shocking, right? You've probably all seen a similar looking butterfly. They're related to the common blue butterfly of Europe, the eastern tailed blue butterfly of North America, or the spring azure, also in most of North America. I did also find several species of blue in Australia as well, and those are called the jewel blues. It looks like there's several in Australia that look pretty similar that are in that group. So it's a pretty little blue butterfly. There's a bunch of them around the world. If you've seen a little blue butterfly, it probably looked like this one we're talking about today. So what makes this one special? Why talk about it?
Yes.
I'm squinting
Why?
at Kirk, just being like,
Okay, fair enough. Hold on. Well, it has to do with how they develop. And I think we usually think about butterflies starting off as caterpillars, right? And then they attach themselves to their host plant, forming a chrysalis, going through metamorphosis, transforming into a butterfly. And that then emerges and gracefully flies away.
Okay.
Well, Elcon blues don't do that. They start their lives off as caterpillars. Their plant of choice are star gentians, but once they pass the fourth instar, which is another way of saying like a stage of growth, they simply drop to the ground, and they give off a very specific smell that is attractive to ants.
Huh.
Now, the smell actually makes the ants think that they have found one of their young larvae out on the surface of the earth, and they know that they must protect it and bring it back safely underground.
Interspecies brood parasite.
So the larvae of the ants and the butterfly are remarkably similar looking, I should point out. And if you have listened to this show long enough, you probably think you see where this is going, right? Like the caterpillar must devour the ant colony, right?
That was my first thought. I'm not going to lie. My first thought was, of course, it's going to eat or like take over or do something, which would be weird on its own, but for a butterfly, that's weird.
Well, it turns out, no, not at
good.
all.
Oh God, what do they do?
But once the ants bring their new baby home, they not only feed it, but also protect it from the world. The caterpillar eventually pupates underground and goes through metamorphosis before crawling out of the ant colony and becoming an adult. It's a pretty cool story of one insect using smell to trick another species of insect to care for and protect it. So that's pretty cool, right? It's not much of a story, though. It's cool that the caterpillar can trick the ants, but like, okay, right? Like, seems like kind of a short story.
I'm sitting
There's
here
gotta be
being
more to
like,
it.
Kirk, what else do you have up your sleeve? Where's that shoe?
Enter the bullies of the insect world. Remember when I said they need protection? That's part of the reason they were under there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
what?
Who else did they need protection from but our old friends, parasitic wasps?
Yes. Yes. Excellent. Beautiful.
Yes, this ties right in with your topic last week, Rachel, with the parasitic wasps attacking the what do they call it? The cockroaches. Now, one of the big predators of caterpillars, just in general, is wasps. If you're hiding out inside a nest of ants, it's pretty hard for the wasps to get to you or find you, even. So this arrangement seems like a pretty good plan on the part of the caterpillars.
Yeah.
The main predators of the Elcon blue is a type of ichneumon wasp called Ichneumon eumerus, kind of like humorous, but not all that funny and actually really deadly to the caterpillars. So I'm sure they don't find it that humorous at all. Much like other parasitic wasps, what they really want to do is not to like eat the caterpillar. They want to find the caterpillar and inject eggs into it so that the wasp babies can grow inside of the caterpillar and feed upon the caterpillar while it is still alive, which is terrifying. The problem is, though, the caterpillar is hanging out in the middle of a huge colony of ants. So if the parasitic wasp wants to get to it, it has to go into this ant colony, and they're not going to be too pleased with an intruder. But much like the butterfly, the wasp has learned to manipulate the ants through pheromones as well. Now, in older literature, it would just say that the wasp use pheromones to confuse the ants. But researchers who have looked into this situation more closely have discovered it is far more complex and wild. There's actually 6 different pheromones that they were able to identify on the wasp's body that the wasp give off that are responsible for 3 different jobs. So first off, they give off a pheromone that actually attracts the ants to them. And I know this seems counterintuitive, but they're basically baiting them into a trap. So once they're close enough, they're hit with a second smell that drives them into an absolute crazy rage. And when I read about this, I could only really picture the original Kingsman movie. Did either of you see that movie?
No.
Yeah. I have it on DVD, yeah.
Okay, well, for those who haven't seen it, in the movie, Samuel Jackson plays a billionaire bad guy who decides he wants to wipe out most of the Earth's population, the human population, to save the environment. So he engineers a phone that triggers humans to become raging, violent beings hellbent on killing any other human they can see. It's not for children. It's very violent. But it leads to some of the most epic group melee fight scenes in the history of cinema.
No, it is gruesome as all get out.
Yeah, it's wildly graphic. Like I said, not for children. But it's actually quite beautiful in the way it was shot. And that's pretty much what happens when this wasp enters the ant colony. They trigger the biggest drunken bar fight you can possibly imagine. The ants basically lose their little minds. Now, the reason the wasp wants to draw the ants closer with that first pheromone is that the fight pheromone essentially sticks to the ants who come near, and then they spread it around the colony and actually induce even more ants to fight throughout the colony. Researchers estimate 80% of the ants in the colony basically go nuts and start fighting anyone that they can see, which is just wild.
Oh, wow.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Now, this does pose a problem, though, for the wasp, because they are a somebody, right? And they're now in danger of getting a six-legged whoopin. I guess that's, and now that I say that out loud, that's probably the episode title right there. So we need to get to the third smell,
so
right? And this third smell they give off actually repels the ants away from them. Basically, if they want to actually find and get to the caterpillar, they got to make sure that they can safely, get through this giant melee that is going on.
It's kind of like when the evil captain in, oh my gosh, I think it's Pirates of the Caribbean, like 2 or 3, that he's going down the stairs.
Oh yeah. The cannons are going off.
His ship is literally being torn apart by cannonballs and things, and he's totally calm walking down the stairs, and
it's like that. The wasp is just totally chill while everyone's freaking out.
It's very cinematic, really.
Absolutely.
The whole thing.
Yeah.
So they do locate the caterpillar, we think through smell, and they inject the parasitizing eggs into the caterpillar, and then they leave the chaos of the nest behind. Now, once the wasps inside the caterpillar are ready to emerge, they also give off the same pheromones to trigger yet another bar brawl, and then they quickly exit amongst the chaos.
Oh my God.
And I have to say, I'm really glad humans don't use pheromones like this. Can you imagine, like, you're waiting in a long line and someone else wants to get to the front? So they just release like a smell that makes everyone break out in a fist fight while they casually walk to the front of the line. That's basically the world these ants live in. It's even wilder, though, because it's like another species is inducing these riots. And they just probably, every once in a while, one of these fights break out, and then they all kind of calm down and be like, well, that was really weird. And then, it happens again when the wasp babies emerge. And it's like, why are we fighting all the time? What's going on here?
Love that.
Great.
That's so fun.
So that is what I brought for you both this week. Most of my information came from 2 articles. One was the journal article in Nature called Chemical Weapons Trigger Civil War. Pretty dramatic title there. And also a Science News article called Sniff, Pow, Wasps Use Chemicals to Start Ant Brawls. But we're going to take a quick little commercial break here, and when we come back, we'll see what Rachel has for us. This week's episode is brought to you by the Society of Strange. That's what we call our patrons over at patreon.com/strangebynature. Society members directly support the show they love, and depending on their level of support, get fun perks such as bonus content on select shows, insider photos, water bottle stickers, and here's a big one, every level of support gets every episode 100% ad-free. Come join the other lovers of the show, help keep this strange show going, and get those ad-free episodes. We'll see you all over at patreon.com/strangebynature.
Welcome back, everyone. Now, this is one of those topics that, to the three of us, might not seem strange just because, like, our threshold for strange, our tolerance for strange is higher.
It's
than
real high.
most people's.
Yeah, doing this show will do that to you.
But to do this, maybe.
Should tell you about some of the stuff I see at work.
Oof.
Yeah. 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 But to do this sort of podcast and not touch on this subject would be a shame, in my opinion. And since this is my podcast too, I'm going to subject you all to it. So, the world as it stands has 8 distinct species of bear.
Oh, sure.
Bears.
Okay. Bears. All right. We're bears. We're in the general area.
Yeah. Black
Kirk
bears.
is trying to remember if he knows
Grizzly
them all.
bears.
Yeah,
polar
I'm trying to think of
bears,
them all.
Panda bears.
Yep.
Sun
That's 4.
bears.
Oh, good one. Yep.
There's a
What's the others?
Sloth bear.
sloth bear.
Oh, okay.
There's the Asiatic black bear.
Okay,
Right.
right. Yeah. The other black bear.
It is separate, actually.
Yeah.
Don't get me started. The taxonomy of bears is actually
I'm sure it's really
highly
something.
contentious.
Okay.
No. Oof. And then, do you say the spectacled bear?
Did
No,
not
we
say
missed that one. It's a good one.
8.
Nice.
Okay.
There we go. So, yeah. So there are 8 distinct species currently on the planet. There used to be more different species, but right now there's 8. And the variety of them, like, honestly, we just listed them. This might be the year of the bear for me. So be prepared.
Oh, there's more coming. I see.
They're all excellent. They honestly deserve their own episodes. So I'm going to highlight bears probably this year.
Right.
Now, shout out to my friend Leah, who loves bears. So bears are all part of the carnivore family in the genus Ursus.
Right.
And they all have these particular characteristics, according to Wikipedia. They all have large bodies with stocky legs, longer snouts, kind of like a dog's versus like a cat has a really short snout.
Right.
Dog has longer one. Bears have longer ones. They have short, rounded ears, paws that walk flat on the ground. So their toes, their metatarsals and everything are flat on the ground. This is called plantigrade, apparently, this type of paw. They have 5 claws that cannot retract, and they have short tails. All right?
Yeah, sounds about right.
We all know what a bear looks like. All right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about the biggest bear.
Oh, yeah.
And just the largest land carnivore by body mass, Ursus maritimus,
Polar bear.
the polar bear.
Yes.
Polar bear.
So cool.
The polar bear. So the scientific name actually means sea bear, which is pretty apt because they spend a lot of their time in the sea, in the ocean.
Absolutely.
Now, to get a little bit of a visual, we got our bear stats that we already have. They look all white. So picture a bear that is all white. There
Well, I think we've all seen a picture of a
Yeah, I think
polar
We've
bear
all
before.
seen a picture of a polar bear.
Yep.
They're pretty charismatic, so yeah. So males are generally larger than the females. At the shoulder, they can be, this is their length. They can be 6.6 to 8.2 feet long. So that's 200 to 250 centimeters, and they weigh anywhere from 660 to, so like 660 pounds to 1,760 pounds.
That's such a big range.
That is a huge difference of size, and there's a reason for that.
Okay.
In science, that's 300 to 800 kilograms.
Thank you.
They also generally have a larger head than females do. Females, however, range anywhere from 180 to 200 centimeters, which is 5.9 to 6.6 feet long. And then they go from 330 pounds to 660 pounds, or 150 to 300 kilograms.
That is quite a difference in size.
It really is. And there's
Yeah.
reason for that, actually. So the other thing that's important is at their shoulder, they're like one Rachel at the shoulder.
Okay.
Maybe
One
like
terrifying
one Kirk. So
Rachel.
they're like not at the shoulder, they're not always like the tallest. But if they stand up, they can be easily 10, 12 feet.
Oh, yeah. It's real impressive.
That's still really tall, yeah.
Yeah.
Real terrifyingly tall.
So what makes it more unusual than other bears are a couple of things. Most bears are pretty omnivorous, so they'll eat plants, a nice mixture of plants and meat. Polar bears generally only eat meat. They will eat like berries and things if it's available.
Okay.
And they're very much a opportunistic scavenger when it gets to it. But if they can, they mostly are going to eat meat. And that actually is shown more in their teeth and in their dentition and such as well.
Sure, it makes sense.
They mostly are feasting on seals, but they'll eat whatever they can catch. And they rely actually so heavily on the marine life and part of that ecosystem to survive. They're actually considered marine mammals. They are not considered land animals. They are considered marine mammals.
Interesting.
So, sea bear.
And what was the Latin again?
Ursus maritimus.
Oh, we need to check on our board for how Rachel's doing with her Latin
How are we
pronunciation.
doing?
That was a pretty easy one.
Yeah, you are
2 for 2.
2 for 2. We'll
2
see-
for 2. Next week might be a little harder.
We'll see what happens as we continue.
They're so hard. We don't speak Latin. Okay. So because of the reliance, you all noticed the big difference in their weight. That
Right, yeah.
Yes.
big range that happens there.
They are sexually dimorphic in their size.
Yes, but also between the two sexes as well, there was a pretty wide range. And part of that is because of how they hunt. So they spend over 50% of their time hunting for food, and about 2% of that time of them hunting is successful.
Oh, wow. Okay, that's pretty low.
So they are not great at it, I guess. But they need to eat a lot. It shows in the weight of the bears how much it can fluctuate depending on what they catch. So they mostly are eating seals, particularly they like ringed seals or bearded seals, whatever one, because they're in the Arctic Ocean, they're in the Arctic spaces. They're also able to increase their mass if food is plentiful and all around. They're able to increase their mass up to 50%.
Whoa, quite a bulking up there.
They are able to increase their mass up to 50%, and they are able to store that in fat. So when times are lean, they have plenty fat stores to get them through it.
Nice.
So they fluctuate quite a bit in terms of weight.
Also helps keep them warm.
It does help keep them warm. Believe it or not, the Arctic is cold.
What? Shocker.
What? Crazy. But another weird thing, before we get into the fat of the polar bears, is they actually don't overwinter.
Oh, yeah.
Or
okay,
hibernate in any way, shape, or form. Like, they are spending they're active, they're hunting, they're looking for food. The only time that they will like den down and like kinda not hibernate, but just stay in a den is pregnant females.
Okay,
and they
makes
will
sense.
be in the den for 4 months, fasting that entire time.
Wow.
While they
4
are
months.
giving birth and nursing their cubs until they're old enough to be able to go out to start hunting for seals and things.
Sure.
And honestly, they're amazing mothers. They protect their cubs from aggressive males, because if the cubs aren't there, then the female will be like ready to reproduce again. We see it with lions sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
But females will protect them, and they'll actually raise them. On average, it's pretty common for 2 cubs to be born at a time, and they nurse them and protect them for 2.5 years.
Oh, wow.
Before they're off on their own.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Now, you all remember how big the bears get. When they're born, they're about a pound apiece
Oh.
and are only about a foot long,
Oh.
which is really cute and really small. Now, okay, I've gone through all of this, right? It's not that strange. It's just a bear. These are general facts about her. They're cool.
But I bet you have more, right?
Oh, of course I do. Duh. So, Victoria, you said this. The Arctic is unsurprisingly cold.
Yep.
What do? So they actually have 2 layers of fur. They have an outer layer and an inner layer that help keep them warm. And actually, when they are running, which I'll get to in a minute, males especially, it is. When they are running, they actually can overheat and need to take a swim to cool off. Because with the layer of fur and their layer of fat underneath that, which can be like several inches thick of fat, they don't lose heat easily, so they can overheat pretty quickly. So the fact that they have to take a dip in the water in order to cool down is just fascinating.
Yeah. A polar bear plunge, if you will.
Yeah, that was solid. So when they are swimming, their front paws are actually slightly webbed in addition to just being giant. Like the description I saw everywhere was they are the size of dinner plates. And part of that is to help kind of like a snowshoe hare or just snowshoes in general, spreading out their weight so that way they don't sink into the ice or sink into the snow as much, but also because there's fur in between and because of the slight webbing, it allows them to be like these giant paddles to help them get through the water, which is pretty cool because they swim up to 6 miles an hour. Now, they don't do that. They try not to do a lot of swimming. If they can walk, they will prefer to walk.
Okay.
But if they need to swim, on average, they'll swim 150 kilometers
What?
at a time.
So
That's
light,
93 miles.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
I was not
The
ready
record. Oh, just wait. The record of distance for a polar bear. She lost 22% of her body mass, and she lost both of her cubs on this journey. Okay, she swam for 9 days, and the distance was 687 kilometers, or 426.9 miles.
Oh, wow.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, because the ice is melting?
Part of it is definitely because of that and just needing to get to a new spot that was safe and that they could get to. So Arctic ice is pretty important. I won't get into that because I'm sure most of our listeners, if you listen to our podcast, you probably know about that and climate change impacts on bears. And we're not going to get into that. We're just going to talk about how weird polar bears are. But yeah, that was mind-boggling how far they can go.
Yeah, it's totally astounding.
Yeah.
That
Losing
is
22%
so far.
of her body mass is...
Uh-huh. And
Wow.
still surviving to move
Right.
on for another day. Absolutely insane. Part of that probably has to do with their sense of smell. So polar bears have an acute sense of smell. They are able to smell a seal a mile away, at least.
Okay.
But they can smell a carcass nearly 20 miles away.
Wow.
And generally speaking, they'll hunt whatever they can, but they rely on ambushing their prey at ice holes when seals come up for air. That is generally how they get their food. And you'd be like, this is a giant bear. How can you possibly ambush a seal? Well, part of that is because of the color of their fur, or should I say, the lack of it. The skin of a polar bear is actually black, which helps keep them warm. But their fur is hollow, which also helps keep them warm and retain heat. But their fur is translucent. It's pigment-free.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any sort of pigment, and it actually is scattering the light and reflecting their surroundings. So it lets them blend in, but it means that what we see is just a reflection of their environment, not actually the color of the bear, which is very cool.
Yeah, wow.
One last little tidbit for all of you is that I mentioned this early. I kind of touched on this. While they mostly amble at a sprint, which they can maintain for short periods of time, polar bears can run up to 25 miles per hour.
No, thank you.
Which I dislike. Yeah. Or in science, that is 32 kilometers per hour. That is too fast. I realize that they wouldn't be keeping that up for an hour, but right. No. I actually have a bonus for patrons and such that has to do with something with human interactions of polar bears, but I'm going to save it. Yeah, so that is my story this week. I just wanted to talk about polar bears. They deserve their time in the sun. My sources this week were Wikipedia, World Wildlife Fund, National Park Service, Polar Bears International, National Geographic, International Association for Bear Research and Management, and something called the Polar Guidebook, which was wild to find. And I think with that is the end of our episode. So thank you all for listening. We will see you all next week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone, for listening to today's show. Be sure to subscribe. New episodes drop every Wednesday, and we love sharing this strange world with all our listeners. If you would be so kind as to leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you get your podcasts, that would be great. It lets other lovers of the strange discover the show. You can reach us by searching for Strange by Nature Podcast on Instagram, Facebook, and Blue Sky. You can send us an email as well. Our address is contact@strangebynaturepodcast.com. If you want more information about the show, you can check out our website, strangebynaturepodcast.com, and you can support the show and get ad-free episodes at patreon.com/strangebynature. Until next week, get outside, stay curious, and embrace the strange.